Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin in northern Manitoba, where a 17-year-old boy from Norway House Cree Nation is dead after he was shot by the RCMP. On Friday, around 1:45 a.m., RCMP officers from the Norway House detachment responded to a call about an agitated and armed male, who officers located outside the residence with an edged weapon. The RCMP say he was shot after refusing to drop the weapon numerous times and advancing toward them. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The 17-year-old has not yet been named. He is the 11th Indigenous person killed by police in Canada since August. The Manitoba Independent Investigation Unit is looking into the matter. In a statement, Norway House Cree Nation leadership says they extend their deepest condolences to the family of the young community member who tragically lost their life. They say the event has deeply affected the community, especially with the recent loss of a young woman. A team has been dedicated to ensure a thorough and independent investigation takes place and address broader issues of drugs and violence in the community. Chief and Council are also looking at the possibility of declaring a state of emergency. The Office of the Alberta Child Advocate released 2 reports this week. Their annual report on the state of youth in the child welfare system and the Calling for Change report. Indigenous youth are still being overrepresented in annual serious injuries and deaths. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Alberta Child Advocate Terry Pelton's latest annual reports on youth in the Alberta child welfare system shows a perennial continuation of too many Indigenous youth being severely injured or dying while in the system, or shortly after leaving.
So I think what's particularly troubling is that 35 of the 48 young people were Indigenous. And so we're continuing to see an overrepresentation of systems in the lives of Indigenous young people, their families, and their communities. And I'm not making a recommendation out of this report, but I'm reinforcing previous recommendations about supporting communities to take to be supported to take their kids back.
17 of 33 youth who died aged out of the system. Pelton says the province needs to keep helping youth beyond the current age of 22 to reduce these numbers from youth aging out of the system. She says many don't have the supports youth with family supports have.
If they come home at 26 and they were evicted or lost their job, we're a safety net for them. Young people who are in the permanent care of the government don't necessarily have those family connections, which then speaks back to the importance for Indigenous young people particularly to be connected. And I've heard about some nations that are serving their young people to 26. And so if nations can start making those changes, government surely can.
According to Pelton's report, of the total 48 youth killed or seriously injured, 26 of them, over half, had the same problems.
Most of the young people in this report struggled with either mental health or substance use, or unfortunately both. And so our office has done a number of reports on the increasing deaths related to opioids and substance use. And I think the next step, because I've seen government make some positive moves towards like this virtual opioid dependency program. They're doing a lot of work to increase supports. I would just like to see more targeted supports for young people.
APTN asked how the Alberta government has done on her past recommendations.
A number of them are at ongoing states of progress, significant or some progress. Some have been met. I did see some good work involved with like this youth suicide strategy that was implemented, and so now I would like to see some follow-up on that. But I'm feeling positive about what's going on for the most part.
We will have community reaction to this story in the coming days. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Femicides surged in Quebec in 2020, taking the lives of 23 women that year. One of them was the murder of an Inuk woman, Mary Savchuk, in 2020. Her killer has yet to be sentenced because of delays in producing a Gladue report. Her case is an example of delays in Nunavut's justice system in northern Quebec. APTN's Savannah Craig looks into what's contributing to those delays.
Mary Savchuk, a 37-year-old Inuk woman, was killed by her partner in Saluit, Nunavut on November 1st, 2020.
Mary was a really well-loved, well-respected member of her community in Saluit. She volunteered at the women's shelter in Saluit.
Laura Aguirre is the project coordinator of the Montreal-based organization Ishkwe. It has been supporting Savchuk's family through the murder trial. Ishkwe supports families and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
Unfortunately and very tragically, Mary was murdered on November 1st, 2020, in the context of intimate partner violence.
Her murderer, Pelusi Usuyatuk, received a second-degree murder sentence earlier this month. It normally means a 25-year sentence, but that length and when he can see a parole board have yet to be determined. That will happen at his next hearing on December 11th.
I would say that 4 years is quite a drawn-out legal process. And I think that there's two pieces. I think we see this often in cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, trans, and Two-Spirit people, but also the justice system in Nunavut, in northern Quebec. It has extremely long delays.
A contributing factor to that is the shortage of Gladue writers. They are responsible for writing Gladue reports, which recognize the impacts of colonialism and intergenerational trauma when sentencing perpetrators who are Indigenous. Gladue writer Lynn St. Louis says it can be a lengthy process.
So altogether, it can take like a good, let's say, 35 hours.
The Gladue report in Savchuk's case was first ordered by the court on December 14th, 2023, and returned to the courts on October 28th, 2024, more than 10 months after it was ordered.
One of the problem is recruiting Gladue writers, right? So I've been saying for, I think, 3 years that I'm done and I'm not going to do it anymore, but I still help because, there's a lack of writers.
APTN reached out to Makiavik, the legal representative of Inuit in Quebec. It did not respond to our multiple requests for comment.
You have this event that is extremely traumatic for families. Someone is murdered, someone has disappeared, sometimes a combination of both. And then because of our legal system and just the way it's not set up to support victims and their families, to protect victims and their families, as a result, yes, these failings are super common and then result in further traumatization for families.
Despite the delays in sentencing for Savchuk's murder, Ishkwe has kept her memory alive by calling for Instagram followers to leave candy out in her honor. That's because Halloween was Savchuk's favorite holiday. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
Recently, we brought you a story about a 16-year-old girl who was pinned to the ground by 6 security officers at a mall in BC after they alleged she had stolen from a store. APTN's Tina House went to the head office of the security company to get some answers. And a warning, some viewers may find some of this content disturbing.
It's been almost a week since 16-year-old Jane, who wishes not to be identified, went to the mall with a couple of friends to hang out. Jane says they went into the Victoria's Secret store.
We went in for like 2 seconds probably, and then we went outside, and then I was on my phone, and then we were walking out towards the entrance by Hudson's Bay, and the security guard came up to me and he started saying that I stole from Victoria's Secret, and I pulled out my phone and I started opening the large packet of my bag. I pulled out my phone and the security guard slapped my phone, and that's when it broke. I picked it up and it was broken, so I started yelling at him and I took a picture of him, kept taking pictures.
Jane's non-Indigenous friend then spat towards the guards, and then Jane did as well and took off running. Jane's mother confirmed this in an interview. Also, according to Jane, the guards chased her outside the mall and brought her back in. This video was shot by an onlooker and shared with Jane's family. It shows 6 security guards roughly taking Jane to the ground. Jane also claims that one of the female guards had a knee on the back of her neck and she couldn't breathe for about a minute. In a statement to APTN National News, Surrey RCMP said that they responded to a report of an assault on a security guard, but, quote, the suspect, who is a youth, was released at the scene to their guardian, unquote. The guards are employed by Paladin Security. We made several attempts to contact them through phone and email. We didn't get a response, so we went to their office. At first, a staff member said someone would speak to us, but that didn't happen. Instead, this week, Paladin Security emailed a statement. It reads in part, we are transparently working with Surrey Police on the events leading up to what is seen in the video and are conducting an internal investigation to ensure the response of our team aligns with our procedural expectations and training standards. As this is an active police investigation, we will have no further comment. Jane's family is now seeking legal counsel and plans to pursue a lawsuit. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Time for a quick break, but first a preview of a story Savannah Craig will be working on this weekend in Nunavik in northern Quebec.
I'm Savannah Craig, and I'll be heading up to Kangiqsuyak, where Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Gary Anandasangari, will be giving a historic apology over the RCMP's slaughter of Inuit sled dogs between the 1950s and the 1970s. This policy resulted in pushing the semi-nomadic community into a sedentary lifestyle and taking away part of their autonomy. Tune in Monday for the full report I'll have on APTN National News.
Welcome back. The Manitoba government has launched a $20 million strategy they hope will empower and protect Indigenous women, girls, and gender-diverse people in the province. The strategy is called Mino Awayag Ikwayag, meaning all women doing well. Over 4 years, it will address the crisis of MMIWG2S in Manitoba, with a focus on short-term actions that lead to long-term solutions. The strategy includes 10 pillars, including housing, education, health services, and matriarchal leadership. The $20 million in funding includes a $15 million endowment fund to support MMIWG2S families, as well as several initiatives in urban and Indigenous communities. Families Minister Nahani Fontaine discussed what action can be expected soon.
We've already started rolling out some of the strategy, and as the special advisor said, in the very near future, we're going to be unveiling and rolling out other aspects of Minuaweak Ikwayag, which again, not to give anything away, but is about transitional housing, a 24/7 safe space. We're going to be looking at substantial investments in addictions for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirited. We're looking at a variety of different things that are well underway and well in works right now with a variety of stakeholders. And like I said, very soon, all of that will be rolling out.
A project that pairs new immigrants with Indigenous peoples made a recent stop in Winnipeg at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. The goal is to help each participant understand each other's complex history and how they move forward together sharing the land. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
A land acknowledgement done in Arabic. It is Azzedine Hawamda's personal effort toward reconciliation. He came to Canada in 2006, before the days of the TRC, as a Palestinian refugee.
We were told a certain narrative of this country, very wrong, very problematic, filled with stereotypes and negative narratives of Indigenous communities. And I've embarked on this journey of learning the true history of this land.
Hawamda is one of a dozen participants in a project called Where We Stand, Two Hearts, One Land. It pairs a first-generation immigrant with an Indigenous person, focusing on the land they share. Cyrus Sunder Singh is the creative producer. He said the idea came to be during the COVID pandemic as a way to bring people together.
What came first was what if?
A broad question he put to hundreds of people from coast to coast to coast.
Elders, chiefs, leaders, mothers, fathers, soccer coaches. And then when I sat down after that month of consultations, the first thing to drop on that paper was the title, Where We Stand. Because they all talked about land as tied to identity and the shifting nature of land.
Aaron McKay of Rolling River First Nation in Manitoba shares this song gifted to him in a sweat lodge. He and Hawamda spent nearly a year getting to know one another.
It's definitely enhanced my life. It's opened my eyes to a new perspective of home, identity, and the identity of others. What's really helped me is returning back to the land, finding my culture and my language. With that, it's taught me so much in the way of healing and how to look after myself and how to, even though there are those past traumas.
Where We Stand has been shown in Eastern Canada and will continue to move west, with some participants showing documentaries while others like McKay and Hawamda do live performance about two cultures woven together with common experiences and beliefs.
So with Izzadine, he'd be talking about what you see happening right now in Gaza and Palestine. And with me, even though I am here on my land, in my home, we see what colonization has done.
The first thing you say to each other in Arabic when you meet each other is كيف الأولاد, which means how are the children? And that's the first thing you check in, because we believe strongly that if the children are well, communities are well. And so when I came here and started to talk and learn with Indigenous communities, they too see children as leaders.
All while connecting two hearts together on a land with a complex history. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
A recent mine disaster in Yukon is the focus of this weekend's all-new episode of APTN Investigates. We'll speak with the journalist behind the documentary after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And looks like a stunning morning in Old Crow, located in northern Yukon. This was captured and shared with us by Vicky Josie. Thanks for thinking of us. We hope you had a great day, Vicky. If you're out and about this weekend, you can think of us and send us a picture to share at aptn.ca. And tune in next week to see if you're our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, showers and 10 for Halifax and Charlottetown. -4 in Kuujjuaq, cloudy and 1 below in Nain. 7 above and cloudy skies in Montreal, -3 with snow for Val-d'Or. 6 and snow in Sault Ste. Marie, 0 with flurries in North Bay. Cloudy and +1 in Thunder Bay, snow and -3 in Sioux Lookout. -5 with snow in God's Lake, 8 below in the Paw. -6 in Winnipeg, -9 in Dauphin. 10 below with flurries in Regina, Saskatoon, and North Battleford. -10 with snow in Meadow Lake, 11 below and snow in Buffalo Narrows. Lots of the white stuff in northern Alberta, 23 below in High Level, -12 in Fort Chipewyan. Snow in Edmonton and -10, flurries and 9 below in Lethbridge. Rain in Vancouver with a high of 11, snow and 2 above in Kamloops. -8 with flurries in Prince George, sunny and -19 in Dease Lake. 15 below in Old Crow, -28 in Dawson. -25 in Yellowknife, 22 below in Norman Wells. Snow and -19 in Sax Harbor, 22 below in Colville Lake. -22 and snow in Whale Cove, Arviette, and Cambridge Bay. -20 with snow in Resolute, 18 below and snow in Joe Haven. APTN Investigates returns tomorrow night with an all-new episode. Video journalist Rob Smith looks into a recent mining disaster in the Yukon, where this past June, a heap leach failure at Victoria Gold's Eagle Mine resulted in the release of cyanide on the traditional territory of the Nacho-Nayakdun First Nation. With more on the story, Rob joins us now from our Vancouver newsroom. Rob, great to see you. You've been on this story since the summer, and there's been some recent developments. What can you tell us?
Yeah, hi, Dennis. The Yukon government just recently, in their last report on what's happening up at the mine, reported that they have now found mercury in the water system up there. They go on to say that there's no immediate threat to human, consumption downstream. There's no health threats immediately, but they still insist that people around the area don't eat the fish. Now, this is just another added stress to the locals, to the people of Nacho First Nation, who utilize that area as fishing grounds. It's right smack dab in the middle of their traditional territory. It's a mining disaster that the First Nation says, of course, that they just didn't need.
And all these months later, just finding this out now, what is the mood, Rob, in the community?
Well, when I was there, it was definitely there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of added stress. There was a lot of we told you so. This is a First Nation that right from the very beginning was, if not opposed outright, raised their concerns about this very thing happening. A number of people I talked to repeatedly told me that this is their worst fears come true.
And now, Rob, where do things stand with the company at this point?
Victoria Gold is in receivership. That means the Yukon government, they went to court and took control of the site and the assets of the company. You go to their website, it's completely nuked. All you see is that information that they are in receivership. It just means that there was no confidence that the company itself could do this massive amount of cleanup. Now, the government has reported that there is progress ongoing. They have some temporary ponds that will collect the contaminated water. They have water treatment facility on there that'll get rid of the cyanide. This was a massive accident. 4 million tons of earth gave way. 2 million of that broke through the safety berm, the safety barrier, and into the environment. So contamination has continued since June to seep into the environment.
Timely story indeed, Rob. Return home for you as well. Really looking forward to it. Appreciate you taking some time here for us.
Thanks, Dennis.
And you can catch APTN Investigates Their Worst Fears tomorrow night here on APTN. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday. For news anytime, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. Stick around. Kim Sullivan is up next with our French language newscast. I'm Dennis Ward. Merci, miigwech. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.